What's up, Coding One? Mr. Agnos here. In this video, I'm going to show you how to make a triangle and a quadrilateral. Quadrilateral is just a four-sided irregular shape. So you previously learned how to make a rectangle, but a quadrilateral is when you want to make that at all wonky, but it's still going to have four sides. And the reason that I'm showing you these two together is they're actually pretty similar in how they work. The quadrilateral is just sort of a more complicated version of the triangle in terms of how we program it. Okay, so I'm going to start off by creating a triangle. The command for triangle is triangle. It hasn't been shortened to anything like rectangle was shortened to rect. I put my parentheses, and we see that it has six parameters here, but really you can think of this as just three sets of x and y coordinates. I have my x1, y1. That gives me one corner of the rectangle. I have x2, y2. That gives me my second corner of the rectangle. And I have x3, y3, and that gives me my third corner of the rectangle. So basically we have three little locations here, and those determine the pointy parts of our triangle. All right, so I'm going to start. After using triangles a bunch, I've sort of adopted the strategy of just, hey, I'm going to get a triangle on the screen, and then I'm going to number scrub it where I want, versus trying to place it perfectly or near perfectly the first time. Excuse me. So I'm going to go ahead and just type in some coordinates here. I'll put one corner at 100, 100. I'll put my second corner, I'll go over 200, down 100, down 100. And I'll put my third corner, I'll go over 150 and down 200. So let's see what that looks like. Okay, that's a pretty solid triangle. All right. Once I have my triangle on the screen, now I'm just going to number scrub it to make it look how I want. So I can grab this first x coordinate here, and that's going to move that upper left corner left or right. If I want to, let's say I'm going to make a triangle that almost fills up the whole screen. So I'm going to move this over. Then I'm going to grab my first y coordinates, my y1, and I'm going to move it all the way down. All right. For my second coordinate, a lot of times I'll grab the number and I'll just number scrub it to make sure I know which point I'm moving. So I'm moving that top point here. I want that to be towards the middle and all the way near the top. So I number scrub it that direction. And then for my last one, I'll move that all the way over to the right and then all the way down. And now I have a triangle that fills up almost the entire screen. So triangles, there's nothing complicated about them, right? We don't have a width, we don't have a height, we don't have a radius like we did with some of the other shapes. We just have three x and y coordinates. But it can take some time to get used to moving a triangle around the screen. For example, now that I have a giant triangle, maybe I want a small triangle in the upper right-hand corner here. So I'll just start grabbing, what I like to do is just start grabbing points and sort of moving them in the general direction that I want them. And again, this is one of those things where the more you do it, the better you'll get at getting your triangle where you want. And now I have a tiny triangle in the upper right-hand corner. So my suggestion is just start using triangle commands and start practicing with them because you're going to use them a lot. They're really common shape. They're used in a lot of things, and the more you use them, the more comfortable you'll get moving them around the screen. All right. The next thing I'm going to show you is the quadrilateral. Because the quadrilateral is basically exactly the same as the triangle, it just has another x and y coordinate. It has an x4 and a y4. So the command for a quadrilateral is quad. So this one does get shortened, parentheses, and look how ugly that looks. I have an x1, y1, all the way up to an x4, y4. So really it's exactly the same as a triangle. It just now I have 4 points to keep track of instead of 3. So again, I'm just going to type in some numbers here. Let's see, 200, 200. If I did this right, it should look like a rectangle, I think. Yeah, there it is, almost a square. Okay, so the difference between a quadrilateral and a rectangle is that you can make this an irregular shape. So I can make it look like that. I can grab this y coordinate, move that around. I can grab this x over here, move that around. And I can create irregular four-sided shapes. So again, if I think I'm going to want to use a quad, my general strategy is just get one on the screen and then number scrub to get it to look how I want. Let's see what happens if I go up like this. Oh, I can even, it almost looks like I've created two triangles there with one quadrilateral. Okay, so that is the triangle and a quad. Again, there's nothing fancy to them, right? We don't have a width and a height like we do with the ellipse and the rectangle. We don't have a radius or a way of rounding the corners. We just have a lot of points that we have to keep track of. 3 in the case of a triangle and 4 in the case of a quadrilateral. So again, the best way to learn how to use these is just to start using them. And then the more and more you program them, the more triangle commands you use, the more quad commands you use, the better you'll get at placing them where you want them initially, and the better you'll get at number scrubbing, being able to move it exactly where you want and make the shape look exactly the way you want. Okay guys, if you have questions, hit me up in the comments. Thanks for watching.